I don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, as my dad would tell me at that time. He's like yelling at me when I told him I'm going to Japan. He's like, "Are you crazy? What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know. I have to go there." So I put it on my credit card. I messaged the guy the next day. I'm like, "I'm going to Japan." So the following month, every one of my mortgages closed, and I had like a record. I had like a five-figure month. I had a record month. I made like 25K or something, and I paid off all my debt. I ended up putting money in the bank, and I pretty much paid for my Japan trip, and everything worked out. I went to my Japan trip, and it was just like a dream come true for me. And so I'm like, how did this happen? And I'm like, I don't know. I was just called to this situation, and and that was just one thing. That all came from me having a hole in my back pocket and me asking, I wonder what this means.
2, 1, 0.
Hi, and welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. This is Orion. Thank you so much for being here. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. Today we're going to talk about destiny. Sometimes it's not easy to find your destiny, and it doesn't happen in an instant. Sometimes you feel like you are following breadcrumbs, and in my guest's case, you're following the tea leaves. In this episode, my guest Anthony Capobianco shared how to follow your destiny and how to live your life peacefully and intuitively. Anthony is the founder of Zen Tea Traders, where he helps people step up their tea game while slowing things down a bit. A Detroit native, Anthony was grinding hard at work as a successful mortgage banker until he found himself sick more often than not and realized he needed to slow things down. He did this through tea, and he created a simple, mindful approach to this age-old beverage that only takes a moment and can help you feel more connected. And this is, I think, one of the things that we are all seeking, just to feel more connected to ourselves, to source, to other people. And yes, Anthony is a very interesting guy, and I've very much enjoyed this conversation with him, and I'm sure that you will too. And now, without further ado, on to the show. Hello, Anthony. Welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and excited to see where the conversation goes.
I know, me too. So let's start with your origin story, and maybe you can share with me some details about yourself and your mission and what you are looking for the most in the future.
So yeah, I grew up in Michigan. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, a small town called Royal Oak, and I lived there, gosh, up until about 2011. At that point, I moved to California. Kind of backtracking back to my Michigan days. I right out of college, I decided to get into the mortgage industry, and I worked in mortgage for one company out of Detroit for about 10 years. And during the whole, you know, bluster of the day and going 90 miles an hour, I found myself just gravitating towards tea. And I never really understood why. Um, but for me, it was just a way to slow down and just because I was constantly on this treadmill going 90 miles an hour because there was a lot going on in the environment I worked in. In the mortgage industry, it was a fast paced industry. So if you can, picture being in like a big open sales floor with cubicles everywhere and about 400 people, 500 people, and just a sea of people. It was consistent noise and movement, and we were all being ourselves and having a great time, and it was just like a big family, and it was a lot of fun, and you're doing it a lot of hours. And so I found myself coming home after the day and just stressing out. And the years would go on, and I remember going to the doctor, and he was like, looking at me, he's like, everything is great with you, except you have a lot of stress. You have to slow down. And then
Mm.
I just found myself gravitating towards tea that I had drank when I was a child. My grandmother introduced me to it when I was around 7 or 8 years old. And then as time went on, I would get more and more into it. And then eventually what happened right around 2006 or so, I found like full leaf tea and I went down this whole rabbit hole of tea. And I was just enamored by this. And I'm like, what is this art form? What is this whole thing about? And it took my interest. And so during my mortgage days, while I was at the company I was at, I was drinking tea and I started like selling it to my coworkers because I actually started my own business kind of as a hobby.
Wow.
I sold the furniture out of my spare bedroom in Michigan in my house in Royal Oak, and I turned it into like a tea space and started carrying teas and things. And I started selling it to my coworkers. And then one day, the CEO walks by my desk. Now, I'm in a corporate environment. I am boiling water at my desk with a Japanese Zojirushi water boiler. It's like steam coming off of it, right? So the CEO walks by my desk and he looks at me and he goes,
Uh-huh.
"Hey, come here." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm in so much trouble." And I'm like, "Hey, how's it going? What's going on?" He says to me, "This tea thing that you're doing?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "It's got legs. Keep doing this." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then I was like, I just got the encouragement from the CEO of the company pretty much. And I was like, wow, this is great. And so then I found myself going into these different tea events and then fast forwarding, I had gotten certifications in tea and really went down again, like I was saying, this rabbit hole of tea.
Certifications in tea? There are certifications for tea?
Yes, exactly. Just like you have like a wine sommelier, I would be something similar to a tea sommelier. And now technically there's no real term for that. It's bigger in other countries. They actually have that. But the organization that I worked with here, I basically asked them, could I use that term to describe what I do? Because I've taken hundreds of hours pretty much of courses and I'd spent time in the gardens in Japan and one of my trips just learning about tea. So I feel
Mm.
like I'd earned it. And they said, yeah, that's pretty much what you do anyways. So go ahead. So at any rate, I really got into it. And then right around 2010-ish, I wanted to go to Japan and teach English. And I thought this would be a great thing for me to go do and also learn more about tea while I'm there. And the short of it is the tsunami happens, right? And so now I'm like questioning, am I stuck in
Oh,
this
yeah.
box? Am
Mm.
I stuck here? Like, yes, I was making a very good living. The thing I was running into is that it's almost like if you were starving and I handed you like a Dorito or something, right? You might say to me, well, this tastes good, but I'm not getting full. That was my life at that period. I was
Mm.
acquiring stuff, sports cars, boats, all this stuff, and it wasn't filling me up, and I
Mm.
was still stressed at the end of the day. So I knew that this tea thing, there was more to it. So I had decided I want to leave Michigan. I wanted to
Mm.
go somewhere else because what I found was a lot of people in that area that just kind of stay in their place, and I wanted to just explore. I wanted to go, and there's nothing wrong with that. For
Right.
me, I was curious about what the world had to offer. So I didn't get into Japan because of the tsunami. So Plan B was, why don't I just move to California? So I interviewed at a mortgage company out there. I left my job in Michigan. My parents thought I was crazy. They're like, "What are you doing? Like, you can't just pack and leave." And at the end of the day, everything worked out. But one of the things that really helped me make a decision was I like to stop and I like to ask God, my higher power, what is on the door for me and
Mm.
what is my move? What should I be doing? And I don't really ask with any sort of like, I need an answer right now, but it's putting the question out there of what should I do and how do I get into alignment? Just show me how and I'll figure out the rest, or show me where and I'll
Mm.
figure out the rest. Give me some kind of guidance. And so I was watching a show, it came on that night on TV, and it was this whole thing on the Buddha. And the thing that really grabbed me was a quote at the end of this documentary that said, in order to gain anything, you must first lose everything. And I thought to myself, whoa. And I stopped. And I started thinking, you know what? I'm acting as if all of these things in my life made me who I was. They didn't. I made them.
Mhm.
So I said, you know what? I'm going to get rid of the things that I thought made me who I was because I started acting like I was super cool because I have a sports car and I got a beautiful girlfriend and I got this and I got this boat and blah, blah, blah. And I have these people around me. So I started getting rid of the things in my life. I kept my house in Michigan, ended up renting it out. moved to California. My dog came with, and I was in LA for 10 years. And so when I moved out there,
Wow.
I kept going back into mortgage because it was low hanging fruit for me. It was very easy to make a buck or a lot of bucks being in the industry. And the tea business for me was always on the back burner. So it was kind of a hobby. And so once I saw that I could make a little bit of noise with it and earn a living from it, I gave it more love. And then I'd always kind of back off to mortgage because I was really good at doing that. And I'm in the middle. Like I can go, I'm the kind of person, I could be in a room by myself and meditate for an hour and not, or just have my phone away from me and the TV off and be in my place working for hours and not be bothered. Or give me a microphone, throw me up on a stage in front of 1,000 people, and I'll talk about something. I'm in the middle, and and that's one of the things for me that I wanted to gravitate towards more was living a life for me that was fulfilling. How do I create something that feels right and and do that in a way that I don't really know what I'm doing, but things just always seem to work out in my favor when I lean towards my, I hate to say passion because I feel like that term is overused, but when I lean towards something I feel is calling me. And that's always been tea for me since 2008. So I lean into tea and great things start to happen. I end up like in Huffington Post and all these like morning TV shows and things, and then podcasts and like all these people were reaching out to me and then like celebrities were drinking my tea. I never paid for any of this. I couldn't do that with mortgages if I tried. Why? Because with mortgages, I was trying. With tea, I was being. It's who I am. And so people say to me all the time, "Well, what got you into tea?" I'm like, "Tea got into me." Right? And so it wasn't like I was chasing something. It was like something found me and said, "Come this way." And then I went the direction of that.
You really like making me want to have a cup of tea right now.
Well, I'm doing my job now, right? And that's the thing is that with tea, I wanted to get in front of people, and in the very beginning when I first started doing it, I wanted to do everything my way. I'm like, I'm going to have it this way, and it's going to be this and that. But one of the things I realized from business people was that nobody really cares what I want. I have to look at what the market's doing. So I changed the direction of what I was doing and
Hmm.
what I was thinking along the way so I could get more people's attention. Because at the end of the day, what I'm trying to do is, again, when life comes at us fast, we have to slow down. And I teach people to do that with tea. And when I go into cafes, I'll
Yeah.
look at their demographic, I'll look at the area they're in, and I'll know, okay, this cafe is going to do better with these teas. This other cafe will do better with these teas.
I just remember today. So I haven't been to Starbucks in, I would say, 3 years at least.
Okay.
So much so that when I came, I was in Starbucks today and I wanted to order something and I totally forgot how to order venti, schmenti,
Yeah.
whatever. And I was just like, just give me a small green tea latte. I haven't had that
Hmm.
in forever. And I didn't make any connection to our interview, but something in me was like, have green tea today. I haven't had green tea in, I don't know, a year or at least a few months, you know? So that's really, really cool. I love all those synchronicities. Even prior to us talking, I told you that I interviewed John Asaraf.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So, to your point, um, and this all plays into when life comes at you fast, slow down because it's not just about tea and drinking tea. It's about slowing down so you can hear and be led in the direction that you're supposed to go. Because we think we're doing these different things, but it's like life comes at us a certain way and we end up going another direction. That's the way we're supposed to go, anyways. So, for example, to your point, for some reason, 2 nights ago, now I've seen The Secret umpteen times. I can't even count the number of times. I haven't watched it in, I don't know, 2 years, but something told me 2 nights ago, watch The Secret. And I watched it. And then you and I are having a discussion, and you didn't know that I watched it, but you said to me, guess who I interviewed yesterday? Out of nowhere. Like you
Yeah.
felt prompted to tell me that. John Arsaf. And then
Mm-hmm.
I said to you, that's crazy because, well, that's interesting. I hate saying that's crazy because it's not crazy. It's interesting because this is how the universe works, right? On my bookshelf, and I actually took the book off, but on my bookshelf, the one book I have from any of the secret people, right, that were on that show, was John Arsaf's book, Inner Size.
Yeah.
And so I took it down when you told me that. I'm like, well, I have to read the book now because that's his book. And I've always kind of been drawn to his story.
Yeah. It's another breadcrumb.
He was the one I heard talk about the vision board many years ago when I first saw The Secret in 2007. And then I put up a vision board and I really started focusing on that. And
Yeah.
T was on my vision board. And that's how I started my business.
Me too. Me too. Honestly, when I interviewed him, yeah, when I interviewed him because he had such big impact on my life, because I interviewed people of his caliber before, but sometimes I get like super nervous, and sometimes I'm not. Usually, I'm not lately, because this podcast has been going for a long time, and I'm just like, oh, okay, another super person, super famous person, whatever. But I guess because he had so much impact on me, and when I got to the interview, I was like, oh, I'm super calm and chill. But as soon as I saw him, all of a sudden I was like, I, I couldn't even think right. It was like because when is so important to you because of those vision boards in my life, I feel like I attracted my men and I attracted, the like so many amazing things to my life, and I was so grateful that I was kind of like a little bit over all over the place, but it was all perfect in its imperfection, and it was wonderful.
Exactly. And that's the biggest thing is not knowing how you don't have to know how the watch works to know what time it is. I say that a lot because for me, it's something that like I'm a figure outer. Like I want to know the inner workings of everything. And for me, this is another thing that when I shut up, I get directed in a way where, okay, I'll give you an example.
Mm,
Let me give you an actual example, real world example. Now, this sort of thing has happened to me
go ahead.
not once, not twice. I don't know. I can't even count anymore. 50, 60, 100 times, small and large. This all plays into the secret. So I'm in LA, and this is like circa 2013. And I was at home, and I had this wallet that had like a money clip on the back of it, and it had ripped a hole on the back of my jeans. And I was like, huh, what the heck's going on here? So I got to get another wallet. Now, wasn't upset about the fact that it ripped the pants. I was more like, okay, I started asking the question, what's in this for me? I wonder what's here. So I
Mm,
go to the mall across the street from my house and I'm walking around for a little while. Let me back up for one sec. I had two dreams in my life. One dream was to visit California. I lived there for 10 years. The other one was to visit Japan. I hadn't gone to Japan yet at this point. So I'm in LA, it's 2013. I'm in mortgage. I wasn't doing very well financially. Mortgages has its ups and downs. I was on the down. And I went to the mall to go get a new wallet. And then as I'm walking through, I was in one of the stores and something said, like, I didn't hear a voice, but I basically said, well, I guess I'll go this way instead of that way. Well, this way took me into another store, Brookstone, and I found a wallet in there, the exact wallet that I wanted after looking around for like 40 minutes and about to give up. And I come out of the store. There's a tea place that I used to go to, and this is in the Century City Mall, called La Picia. And I see a bunch of Japanese people in the store. So I like go into the store and I speak very little Japanese, but I love the Japanese culture.
私も日本語を話します。
Uh, Sumimasen?
私も日本語を話します。少しだけ。
Watashi wa. So you're saying you're,
I speak a little Japanese too.
okay. Nihongo, yeah, oh, that's right. Nihongo ga skoshi wakarimasu. I understand, and I'm saying I understand a little bit of Japanese. So just the
Yeah.
basics. So I go through this door, and I see a group of Japanese people in the store and looking at tea and whatnot. Nobody speaks English. So in broken Japanese, they end up giving me a card or something, and I look, and it says like I could see it says like tea or something. And then I give them my business card, and it says tea on it. And the guy looks at me, he's like, oh, he's freaked out that I have a tea business. And so he says to me, come to Japan. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Sounds great. See ya. And I had to leave. And I'm like, I can't go to Japan. I couldn't afford to go. The next day, I'm on my way to the church, and I'm in Brentwood, and I'm driving down the street, and something tells me, I don't hear a voice. Again, this isn't a voice, but basically I heard, be social. And I thought, oh, be social. Well, I'm not going to do that at church. Maybe I'll just go to the farmer's market. Well, I hadn't been there in, I don't know, 6 months. So I walk into the farmer's market and I'm about to turn around and walk out and I hear my name being yelled in Japanese, Anthony, Anthony. And I look and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Anthony-san.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I'm like caught me off guard because I'm like, wait, it's the people from the mall yesterday. Like, what are they doing here? And so I walk and I see a big sign and it says Kagoshima Tea Association. And I'm like, wait, what is this? And I walk over and this woman walks out and she speaks English and says to me, you're the tea guy. I heard about you. You have a tea business in LA here. You should meet everybody. And I said, oh, and she's introducing me. And then this like businessman comes out and says, listen, basically in broken Japanese, you come to my home. I take you all around Japan, show you all the farms, and you can stay no charge. Just take care
Wow.
of the airfare. And I was like, twice in 2 days, like, each day, I'm like, this is insane. So
I got goosebumps everywhere.
yeah. So I leave and I'm like, I'm going to Japan. Now, keep in mind, I don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, as my dad would tell me at that time. He's like yelling at me when I told him I'm going to Japan. He's like, are you crazy? What are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I have to go there. So I put it on my credit card. I messaged the guy the next day. I'm like, I'm going to Japan. So the following month, every one of my mortgages closed, and I had like a record. I had like a five-figure month. I had a record month. I made like 25K or something, and I paid off all my debt. I ended up putting money in the bank, and I pretty much paid for my Japan trip, and everything worked out. I went to my Japan trip, and it was just like a dream come true for me. And so I'm like, how did this happen? And I'm like, I don't know. I was just called to this situation, and and that was just one thing. That all came from me having a hole in my back pocket and me asking, I wonder what this means. And I've had things as large as that happen, and I've also had smaller things happen. Like I said, I've lost count, maybe 50, 60, 70 times since I've watched The Secret. Now, I'm not attributing it to one movie. I'm attributing it to me asking questions. As children, we become curious about things. I became very curious about what is this law of attraction? What happens if I get connected better to God, as I say, broadcasting in HD, and God leads me in these
Right.
different directions? Again, I never hear voices. I just know, like, I haven't drank alcohol in 12 years. I never quit drinking. It just left me. And that, like, it just
Wow.
happens. Like, whatever is happening, I'm broadcasting in high definition to my higher power. That's what this is all
Mhm.
about. And it's no secret that, well, no pun intended, that you told me what had happened yesterday, and we're talking about the same thing, and we're all in alignment, you know.
Right. You know how I got to Japan? I was how old was I? I was, I think, 22 or 20, no, yeah, 22, something like that. And I was selling cars, new cars, Ford and Mazda in Tel Aviv. And I was bored out of my mind because I was there in the like showroom from, all day long, and I did decent money, but and that I just never saved. I was so bored. And then I got a book about Japan. I don't know, I bought it or I saw it. I think I saw it, and then I decided to get it. And I opened it and I was like, wow, this place is amazing. And I highlighted all the amazing places. And I was like, I want to travel and go everywhere there. I never left the country. It was my first trip out of the country. Within 2 weeks, I gave notice. I only had $700 in my pocket, which was good for like 3 days in Japan. So I almost no money. And also, I remember the night before I went on the plane, I was shopping for something, and somebody told me a horror story about young women that went to Japan and something bad happened to them, kind of like to hold me back. It's almost like the universe tests you sometimes before you go, like to see like, are you really ready? And so I went there and I ended up finding a job, and then I met a beautiful man, Japanese man. We fell in love and we stayed together for 3.5 years. And it was one of the most beautiful experience of my life, just following my heart. And I remember when I got to Japan, they have those little temples every few blocks. and I would toss a coin and ring the bell and clap and pray. And I was always like, thank you, my guides, thank you, my angels, thank you for being here. I was in such awe and gratitude and such a belief and faith that everything is gonna happen just the way it's supposed to be. I feel like when you're younger, you're less jaded and you believe in magic a little more. Um, and now I'm like, I've been to all those conferences and all those courses and whatever. I learned a lot, but like I think I learned too much for my own good.
I understand how that goes.
You understand, right? And then sometimes when you just have like this naive, open sense of trust, like things really unfolding. So now I find myself, how can I tap into that, it's like I'm coming full circle where, okay, I learned from all those great people and I traveled all over the world and being married to Stefan is like, it's like we always learn. We always go and do things, and him and me, we both are like seekers and we want to know more and learn more and are
Very
very
curious,
curious.
exactly. And that's one of the things is that we start to lose as we get older in a lot of cases, is we lose the curiosity. And as you were saying about the basics.
Not only curiosity. No, I'm not losing the curiosity. It's more that, yeah, a little. No, it's more the trust.
Oh, I'm not saying you, I'm saying a lot of people that I know
Okay.
start to lose the curiosity as they get older and they think, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to what I have to adult now. I'm adulting now. And it's like, you have to just everyone just needs to relax for a minute and get back to the basics.
Just be a child and just trust. And I love what you said about tea, like take the moments. And consciously with my son, I'm trying to do it as much as possible. Like move the phone aside and make him so much more important than my phone and my computer or anything else for that matter. And give him the sense,
They pick up on cues, that's for sure.
what?
I said, yeah, the children pick up on cues, that's for sure. So that's the thing is that now, it's this, and everybody's heads down, and the kids need attention, and I have friends like that too.
Yeah, I saw an article with like letters from kids age 5, 6, 7, and some of them say, my mom likes my phone more than me, and she won't even notice me if I'm not there. And I was just like, so yeah. So coming back to that present, being present in the moment, it seems like this is a skill that you're very good at.
Well, there was one thing I wanted to say actually about this is that I trained in karate for 20 years of my life. And my
Nice.
sensei was like my father. He was like my second father. And, from when I was like 12.
Wow, 20 years? That's amazing.
Yeah.
I did MMA and Aikido
Oh, you did Aikido.
and MMA.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, that's amazing.
Not for that long, but I did it.
The great thing about the martial art is that for me is that it wasn't really a fight with somebody else. It was a fight within
Mm,
myself because it
yeah,
was
yes,
myself
yes.
that I kept, beating up emotionally and whatnot. My sensei used to always say to me, and this plays into what you said before, from basics come secrets. From secrets come basics. Getting back to the basics. Like you said before, we go to all these workshops and seminars, and there's this term like shelf knowledge with all these books behind me, right? Shelf knowledge. And so when we turn off the power to our thoughts and sit still, then we can, like, there's a quote that comes to me in that if you're looking for someone to change your life, then look in the mirror.
Ay, ay, ay. It's beautiful.
And that's what it comes to, right? Right? And that's really the truth of it is that like all knowledge is self knowledge, as Bruce Lee said, right? So when we stop and when we slow down and we get the phones and everything out, like you'll get answers. Like things will come to you. You might not hear them in a voice, but you're gonna know, huh? Like if I go to a farmer's market after like a boxing class or something, I'm like, huh, why am I craving raspberries? Why am I like my body just tells me eat this, eat that, and I'm like, okay, I guess that's what I'm eating today. And it's the same thing with everything else. Like for some reason, 12 years ago, I was told, wasn't told, but my body just said, you no longer like alcohol. Now, I never really had a problem. Matter of fact, a month ago, I'm on a tea advisory board now, and we'll get into that in a minute, but I was out in New York for a meeting, and we were at the at this like really fancy French restaurant, and they were bringing wine around, and I'm like, you know what? I know how to taste tea. I'd like to taste wine and see if I can pick out the undertones. Well, 3 glasses later, I'm like, all right, I'm officially, I think I'm drunk. I haven't been drunk in like 12, 13 years, but I think I am. So let's just stop the wine. But I was picking up the undertones from and I asked the sommelier when he came out, I go, am I right up? And he's like, yeah, you're spot on. And I'm like, oh, okay,
Wow.
I guess it carries over into other things. Because I'd never really tried to taste wine to understand the different notes of it. But it was curious about that.
I love red wine, and yeah, I only drink every once in a blue moon, and one glass of wine, I just get really funny. I like, yeah, alcohol makes me super funny.
Yeah, I
I
probably
like that.
won't drink again for 12 more years. I don't know. But at any rate,
Yeah.
yeah, fast forwarding to like everything that I got into with this tea thing, I ended up on a tea advisory board. I ended up judging competitions, and it really just kept showing up.
What? There's tea competitions?
Well, just like when coffee comes out or any type of beverage comes out, like they'll have people judge and see like different flavors and what's the number one taste and all this, right? Like the wines and things. And so yeah, they have the World Tea Expo had an event a couple different times I had judged now where we did like iced tea and different things to see what are the top flavors, and then they get like a little sticker and award and all that. It's a blind tasting. It's a lot of fun. I love doing it. I'm a creative, I would say, in that respect. Like I can't draw worth of anything. I'm not that kind of like artist or creative, but give me tea or food or something, and I'll pick up the different undertones and I just love the art of food and beverage and all that sort of stuff.
So, how was your experience in Japan? I'm sure you went to extraordinary restaurants and discovered so many new flavors.
I felt like I was home
Yes.
when I got there. Yeah, when this is a funny story. I watched Anthony Bourdain back in the day. He was like, I really love that guy, and I actually have his book right behind me
Mm.
here. And so what I would do is before my trips, I'd watch Anthony Bourdain or reservations to see what places I should go. And so I walked into this one. It's called Toriki. It's a yakitori place, which is like the electric.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
the electric grill where they cook the different types of meats, chicken and stuff. So he had recommended. He did an episode where he went into this place, and nobody really spoke English there. But I remember walking in the door, and I'm like, Anthony Bourdain sent me, and like to the chef, and he's like, Anthony Bourdain, and he puts me right in like the best seat in the house, thinking that like Anthony Bourdain literally sent me, and I was just kind of trying to make a joke, but it didn't work so well. But anyways, he starts.
Yeah, no, no, no. They don't get the humor. No, no.
No, yeah, I'm terrible like that. So they start bringing me out this yakitori, and I was like, oh my God, this is like so amazing. The food there was amazing. I mean, but I'm not gonna lie, I did miss my American breakfast after like day 6. I
Hmm.
needed to have some eggs and bacon, so I found an American restaurant there and whatnot.
They do have American breakfast there, though.
Yeah, I had to find it though, because I was in the country. I was in the country in Kagoshima, Japan. I wasn't like,
Ah, you were in the country. Yeah, okay, okay,
yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't. Yeah, it was very, and not a lot of people spoke English there.
Yeah. Oh my God, I miss Japan so much.
It's been an interesting journey in this whole space with slowing down and tea and just trying to figure it out and become the best version of myself. And that seems to change from time to time. And just connecting with people that,
Why green tea? Like, what does it do to your body when you drink green tea?
oh, green tea? Well, so, all right, I'm going to give you a quick tea 101. If you take an apple and you bite into the apple and you leave the apple out for 5 minutes, what color does the apple turn?
The oxidation turns brown.
Oxidation, it makes it brown, correct. So if you picture a shrub in a garden that's about 3 feet tall, that's the tea plant. It's actually a shrub. They pick the leaf. If they leave the leaf out all day long, you have a black tea.
Hmm.
If you put heat on it, you have
Brown.
a white
Oh,
tea
wait.
or a green tea or an oolong tea
Yeah.
or a black tea. It just depends on how long it's been oxidized.
Wow, oolong cha. I forgot about oolong cha. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So So really, and here's the thing, is that they say that the lighter color teas have more antioxidants than the darker color teas. Now, it just depends on where the studies are. So I tell people this: all tea comes from the same plant. It doesn't have to be like medicine. Pick a tea that you enjoy and drink it. The key is just not to sugar it up and bastardize it like people do with all these latte frappa mochas and all this, and they put all this sugar and stuff in there and taste my coffee. Well, it no longer tastes like coffee. Congratulations. Now it tastes like a vanilla something or another, but I don't taste coffee. Same thing with tea. I find that people do that with tea. However, and I'm not judging. I don't care what you do with your tea. I'll tell you this, is that if you drink a high quality tea or like a full leaf tea, you're not going to want to put anything in it. I have people say to me all the time, well, what did you put in this? Why does it taste like sweet potato or like honey? I'm like, I didn't put anything in it. That's just a single origin tea because the terroir, the area it grows, it has those notes. So yeah, it's just how the farmer made it.
Are there teas that are really bad for you that have a lot of pesticides and herbicides and it actually damages?
Yeah, I mean, well, they'll do reports, and there's some tea companies out there in the past that have actually gotten nailed for having in the cup where it's like so many pesticides. It's almost like more pesticides than tea. So I try to find teas that are pesticide free, and a lot of the farmers that I work with directly for my business, they're so high up in the mountains they don't even need to spray for
Oh,
pesticides.
wow.
So, but the thing is that a lot of times what'll happen is you'll get an organic tea, but down the road they're spraying for pesticides, and then you have this overspray that ends up like blowing
Yeah.
onto your actual crop. So it's kind of red tape-ish, right? That's why I flew there, and I know all my farmers on a first name basis,
Wow.
is because I wanted to see what they were doing. I wanted to make sure that I'm getting a good quality product, and that if they are using, pesticides down the road, I want to make sure that they're not actually, ending up on my tea.
So, green tea keeps you younger.
I mean, I can't really say that, but I've heard studies and things say that green tea is very healthy for you. I just, I don't want somebody knocking on my door and say, "Hey, Zen Tea Traders said that green tea makes you younger." You're in a lot of trouble, sir.
Of course, of course. But it seems like if it's got lots of antioxidants, then it will just keep you fresher, younger. And
Yeah, I mean, this, if you look at a lot of the stuff that's out there right now, they have a lot of creams and lotions and stuff for skin care. What are they putting in it? Tea, green
yeah,
tea.
yeah.
So the lighter color teas are said to have a lot of antioxidants. The darker ones are great too. I never drink a tea because it's healthy. I drink a tea because I like
Nice.
it. Now, everyone's not going to be like me, and I don't expect you to, but I just tell people, look, if you like Earl Grey, then drink Earl Grey. If you like a Japanese green tea, a sencha or a genmaicha or something, then drink that. Whatever you're going to drink, that's the tea you should be
Right.
drinking. Don't force yourself to drink it because it's not going to
Yeah.
last long.
So you were talking about following the breadcrumbs, following your intuition, and getting into incredible places. Did you have times in your life where you didn't follow your intuition and you got a negative outcome out of that?
I think um, I think sometimes for me it's more speed, where I don't normally second guess myself, but I think sometimes in the past there's times where I could have moved quicker. Like I stayed at my one job for 10 years when I probably could have left after 5. But I was still finding out who I was. I didn't know, and I guess timing is everything. And the time wasn't right. I wasn't ready. I was still ripe, I guess you could say. And I needed I say that, and I heard somebody say this once, that whatever we're going through, we're going through. And so I think I needed to go through some things to get there. So I'll tell you this. Um, Years ago, I was engaged. And when I was in Japan, because I felt like I was on top of the world, I started writing a story about my life and how, all these things. And then I'd written down something about this person that I wanted to meet. And then, like, within 2 months, I met this person, and I pretty much described this person to a T that I didn't even know, and blah, blah, blah. And it went on, and we ended up getting engaged, and it didn't work out. Now, I had to go through her and do the work with her so that I could be ready for my one, as I call it, my final one, the one that I want to be with, the one that I'm calling into existence. I make this joke that she's in traffic and maybe stuck right now, and she'll get around traffic soon, and we'll end up meeting each other. So there's this whole thing about being prepared. It's not about me trying to find the right one. It's about me trying to become the right one. Because whatever I become, as I've proven to myself before, I will attract. I don't drink. It's no secret. Oh, and I don't watch sports. Nothing wrong with either of the two. The point I'm trying to make is that none of my friends drink or watch sports. Is that any coincidence? I didn't know that ahead of time. It's not like, oh, hey, you know what? You can be my friend, but as long as you don't drink and watch sports, right? I don't ever say that. I don't care what people do, but it's just interesting.
It's in your vibration. You attract what's in your vibration, what's in your frequency. Before I met Stefan, I was in the wrong frequency. Like before we met at the seminar. So prior to that seminar, my frequency was different, and I feel like if I have met him or he have at that moment, we would probably have a coffee date, and that would be it. He was not my type or my style, like that. I had a certain type in mind. But when we met at the end of the seminar, after doing such deep work, and both of us have had such clear intention, and our frequency was super high, then we met at the right place. Because it would be like that otherwise, and we would be just what's the saying, two sheeps in the night.
Yeah, you were both doing work. You were both doing the work, whatever the work was for you at that
Yeah.
time, to become the versions where you guys could be perfectly matched together. And
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes. I love that you said that. It's very evolved of you to say that. I feel like every single person out there have to like need to own that the shift is within. I feel because I do some love coaching too, and when I coach my clients, in my view, it's 80% you work on yourself, self-love, value, healing the past, creating clarity of vision. Who do you want to become to attract the person that you want? And then 20% is, we doing the action, maybe going to some places or dressing a certain way. Maybe it's even like 90-10 or even like 95 and 5. Because I feel like the shift is mostly internal, and it's about energy and vibrating in this like high frequency energy that is a match to the high frequency energy of the person that you want to attract. Because when you're there, you're a magnet. You don't go hunting. You will, like, it will come to you, just like the tea people showed up twice. And of course, you need to follow the breadcrumbs. So my next question for you is, what are your breadcrumbs? What are your signs? What signs are you looking for? Or that speaks to you? Is that animals, or you open a book and you see something, or angel numbers? What is it for you?
it's funny you bring up angel numbers. I get a lot of that, and I would say, yeah, I think that's kind of a reminder. So the number for me, and some people might think that this is kind of out there. I don't know, but I'll tell you straight up, like the number 11 or 1111 shows up for me umpteen times. As a matter of fact, I'll text Stefan all the time. I'm like 11 11 11, and we're going back and forth. And one of my other friends too. Um, that for me is basically saying you're in alignment. That lets me know that I've gotten back into the frequency of attracting things, whatever those things are, or events and whatever. And recently, I've had out of nowhere, just even in the past 4 days. And it's funny I said four, but the number 444 has been showing up for me like mad. Like I've had it show up for me 3 or 4 times in the past 3 or 4 days, and it, it's something where I looked it up and it said something like somebody is trying to give you a message, or your angels are, and I'm like, what's the message? Somebody give me a sign, and it says your hard work is about to pay off, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm noticing some things turning for me in the past, well, in the past couple of weeks. Things have been turning for me in a positive way, and I tend to have moments where I don't want to say I question myself, but I question what should I be doing? What what is what is the direction I should be heading? And then I'll just go silent and then wait for something to show up. And yeah, and I try not to. So for me, like I'll try not to put too much value on um, or meaning on things that my inner voice will say. You know, you shouldn't have done that or whatever. I'm like, okay, well, I did. It is what it
Mhm.
is. So yeah, it all goes back to stillness and calmness. And energetically, I'm a very amped up person. I can be 90 miles an hour, like, you know, or so sometimes it's difficult for me to slow down. I mean, it's a constant work in progress, but I'm getting there. I'm doing a lot better now than I was, 10 years ago or 5 years ago even. So I'm pretty proud of myself for that and not giving up on my beliefs and not changing who I am and just being who I am wholeheartedly. Like, you know, I think that a lot of times we are so, I say, well, I'll just say me because I don't want to say we don't want to speak for everybody else, but I'm so worried about what people might think that is it okay to be me? Right? Is it okay to walk into a
Yeah,
corporate
exactly.
environment and have a teapot and a teacup and sit there and pour tea while everyone else is drinking coffee? Right? Because it's not really. It's maybe in your country that you were born in, it's totally accepted. Japan's accepted. Here in the U.S., it's kind of looked at. Oh, that's kind of cute. He's got a little teacup, and they haven't really gotten it here. Now, I will say this: that matcha is a thing right now. Matcha's huge, so tea is making it evolve. It's becoming cool and hip and fun and sexy. So that whole pinky finger in the air and have a spot of tea, the English thing is kind of dying down, and now it's got a cool hip vibe and like, do you even matcha, bro? You see that kind of stuff everywhere, and I think it's fun because it's like a tea renaissance right now, and uh, it's changing, and that's what I like about it because it's becoming more cool and more fun, and not just like
What are the best things that you like about yourself when you say, is it okay to be me? Who are you?
I am authentic. I'm authentic.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm authentic. I'm me.
I totally get that vibe from you. It's very easy to talk to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very sweet.
Thank you.
Um, I feel like I'm on this similar journey as you to come back to me. Um, when I was in Japan, I don't know if it's because I'm an Aries, where we are very much like a chameleon. I'm always pretty genuine, but I have this when I'm in Japan. When I was in Japan, I almost look Japanese. People told me when I went visit Israel, they're like, "Wow, you look Japanese." And I guess I think my face changed. Like my mannerism, everything looked really, really Japanese and small. Then in New York, I did acting, and I was in an acting school, and I really wanted to be American. So my whole like I I, I moved away my whole like Japanese Harajuku style or super stylish things that I used to wear, and I dressed down and I wore a t-shirt and jeans just so I can be like the other Americans. And it just seemed, and with business people, I'll try to like look really, really business and professional. What I learned is that it never works. Like I am the type of person like I'm going to always be the one that stands out. You know how when you're in class, when you're in school, and there are always those kids that they can sneak and nobody sees them. I will never sneak out or do anything bad, but the one time I do, everyone will see it. It's like I cannot hide. It's like I have a big personality, and even when I'm trying to be quiet, it's just like, and it's almost like pushing a cork down the water. It always pops. Like I can't dim my light, and I've been trying to do that for years in order to, what will they think about me, and how can I be more like them, and how can I be more loved? And my journey right now is how can I freaking be me, my authentic self? How can I show up?
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Do you ever think that if you're you, that maybe you're so powerful that people around you will ask, how can I be more like Orion? That's what I think.
Oh, thank you. I never thought of that.
Because if you are you and you're that powerful, right?
Yes.
No, think about this. If you're you and you're being yourself and you're that powerful, you're generating a frequency and a power to draw in people around you. They're going to be like, wow.
Yes, but it also, it creates a lot of negativity too. It's almost like I do need to somehow contain this because sometimes it makes people uncomfortable sometimes. It triggers something in them that they maybe they see in me, but they don't think they have it in them. But everything they see in me, they absolutely have in them because we're all mirrors. And when I look at somebody and like John Asraf, I look up at him and I'm starting to be like forget my words and stumble on my words and get a little scared and actually no, like every wonderful trait that I see in him actually is in me because of what I see. If you see something in someone, that means you have that too. We're all the same spark of God. Somehow, I, I do and still working on expanding. Sometimes hold back to make other people feel more comfortable around me.
I mean, I would just say, just be you, let them catch up to you. Because at the end of the day, like, there's only one of you, right? And a lot of times, yeah, there's one of everybody, but at the end of the day, a lot of times there aren't one of everybody. There's a bazillion of everybody because everybody tries to fit into the box and do what everyone else was told to do. Fill out the form, stand in line, do this, do that.
I know, no, you look at people, and you look at people on Instagram today. I'm sorry, but like with all the, like everybody has the same lips, everybody has the same hair, everybody has the same,
That's why they're called followers.
huh?
That's why they're called followers. They're not called leaders. They're called followers because everybody follows everybody else,
Right.
right? They're following what everyone
Yeah.
else is doing, and so it,
Hmm.
it's difficult to to be yourself in an area where there's so many people that aren't original, right? And so
Yeah.
I just say be you. Like I'm not going to stop being me. You shouldn't stop being you, right?
Oh, I'm not stopping being me.
No, I'm just saying like don't contain it, let it out.
It's just that sometimes I get nervous. Yeah, but like what you talked about before, like what will they think about me with the teacup and the corporate environment is like it's still in the back of my mind.
I mean, I did it anyways.
Yeah.
I just kind of laughed about it. I remember going into a sports bar with a bunch of my drinking buddies back in the day when I lived in Michigan, and I ordered a hot fudge sundae. And my buddy's a big beer drinker, and he's like, "Who in the hell orders a hot fudge sundae at a bar where everyone's drinking beer?" I go, "I do." And they bring it over, and he goes, "Bro, can I have a bite of that? It looks amazing." I'm like, "No, it's not cool to have a hot fudge sundae at a bar while you're watching a game."
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's just me being me.
Yes.
But
So
yeah, I sometimes I question it. I kind of laugh about it, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get ridiculed for this one, but I still do it. I still do what I do, because if I don't, then I won't be who I am. And it's like it's easy to be like somebody else to try and fit in. The hard thing is to try and be yourself authentically, unapologetically, being you.
mhm.
That's not easy. Because a lot of people, and I do this too, like, am I going to be accepted?
Yeah.
Or am I going to be looked as a weirdo? Right? But maybe I'm not weird. Maybe I'm just cool. I don't know. Or I can just tell myself that.
I think you're pretty cool.
Thank you. I appreciate
I have a very, very good judgment of
it. Thank you.
character.
Thanks.
That's for sure. Um, do you meditate?
I do. I don't do it like, I don't have a regular meditation schedule, but I do meditate. I have a practice, if you will, and I will go, and sometimes I'll go 10 minutes, sometimes I'll go 40 minutes. I just um, try and get into the moment.
Have you ever tried plant medicine or had some
It hasn't really called me. I
like
haven't decided to do anything like that. I have never really tried. I know microdosing is a thing right now, and I have a lot of friends that
yeah.
have done the plant medicine. It hasn't really jumped out at me. Maybe one day it will, and I'll try it. But I haven't really had any uh, desire to try it.
So you're friends with Luke Story.
I am. It's funny you just said it's. You were thinking that, and I was thinking about Luke right away. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Plant medicine, you think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Luke's a great guy.
Um, yeah. So, do you do any biohacks? I mean, he's a mutual friend of ours. You're
Yeah, I do actually. I do the LED. I have an LED Juve thing upstairs that I sit in front of, light therapy. I'll do cold showers. I do cryo. Um, yeah, I was doing this thing called New Fit for a while where you put the electrodes on your muscles and you lift weights with it, and it helps increase hypertrophy, which is basically muscle growth, because it pulses like 500 times a second, and you lift weights, and it's just yeah, it's pretty good. So I do that. I was doing that for a while. It's for fun. I recently had stem cells, which went really well.
oh, with whom? Who did you go with?
Yeah, I went over to BioAccelerator. I'm actually friends with those people over there, and they're amazing. In Colombia, I went to Medellin, Colombia.
In Colombia.
BioAccelerator.
Maybe I should do it because my hips, it's not, I have a good hip. It just inflamed a lot. And I did stem cells.
Yeah, they're really good. I'm telling you.
Yeah, did you harvest your own stem cells? Did you harvest like bone marrow or adipose tissue stem cells?
No, no, no. So what happens is the mothers in Medellin, Colombia, they'll donate their umbilical cords to science. They'll extract the cells from the umbilical cord, so you're getting fresh cells. So, for example, um, which was interesting because the cells that I got the last time I was there, my birthday is March 19th. I got cells from a baby that was born on March 17th,
Wow.
from the umbilical cord. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. And my middle name is Patrick, so it was like kind of March 17th.
Wow.
So yeah, they'll extract them and then they inject them wherever. So for me, I had a 4 millimeter bulging disc in my neck
Ugh.
from my old martial arts training, and my buddy was a retired MMA champion, so I went with him to his surgeon in LA. He'd referred me to, and the guy said, "We got to pull the disc out of your neck. We got to, you're past the point of no return, and we got to put a metal disc in there." And I'm like, "I don't want to have that done." And so my buddy had said to me, "Let's go to Colombia. I'm getting some stem cells." So I went with him. They injected the stems, and within 1 year, the bulge in my neck went down from 4 millimeters to 3 millimeters.
Wow.
So I have full mobility in my neck. It still gets a little sore once in a while, but it's nothing like what it was. And then if I would roll my head around like this, I would have like Rice Krispies popping. It's still there, but it's very minimal.
Oh,
So I don't have any of the neck problems that I had before going in. Most of them are gone, and it corrects itself for up to 2 years, so it keeps getting better.
wow.
I also have been doing my shoulder and my hips or my lower lumbar, and yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I need to do my whole left side, I think.
Yeah, it was great. They really did a good job, and I'm very happy with it.
Well, I did it the hard way where like I went to Utah and with Dr. Harry Edelson and I harvest my own stem cells and they injected it and it was good, but I feel like I need more. Um, Especially after giving birth, like I think my whole skeleton is like different and I developed that hip pain. So yeah, that's good. I'm glad I asked you about
Yeah, offline I can give you the information, and if you want to, I can connect you with somebody over there. I have a person. I'm actually friends with the owner, so they're really good people, and
that. Amazing. No, absolutely.
I've sent them a lot. I've sent them like 20 referrals.
Oh my goodness, yes. I think I'm gonna go to Colombia. I've been to Cartagena before. Where are they in Colombia?
They're in Medellin, so I've
Medellin.
never been to Cartagena, but I saw pictures. It's beautiful there.
Yeah, it is beautiful. Wonderful. Wow, this was such a wonderful, wonderful conversation. Before we say
Thank you.
goodbye for now, I have two questions.
Hmm.
One
Please.
is, what are your three top tips to living a stellar life? And the second one is, where can people find
The first one I would say, slow down, whatever that looks like. Maybe it's not meditation. Maybe it's just sitting in your living room with the TV off and the phone away from you for 20 minutes. Maybe that's how you slow down. For me, it's tea and meditation. Two, I would say get yourself moving, get active, 20 to 30 minutes a day, whatever that looks like. If you can get into a gym a couple of days a week and get your hands on some weights and do some resistance training, that's really good for you. As we start to age, we want to make sure our bones are nice and strong, and lifting weights can help you with increase your bone
you?
density.
Yes.
So I would recommend that as number two. And the number three thing, let me think about this one for a minute. Drink water. For me, it's drinking water. Remember to drink water because a lot of people are dehydrated, right? And we don't even know it. So I think that's a
Yes.
big one.
It is a big one, actually.
Oh, can I throw a fourth one in there?
Yes.
Never stop learning. Don't stop growing. When you get to a certain age, do something different. Take risks, whatever. Maybe it's not a huge risk, but do something different.
I love that. It's actually good, very good for your brain to do something different. It improves your brain quality and increase neural connections, and your brain actually gets smarter and
Neuroplasticity, right?
neuroplasticity. Yes, and
The growth.
yes, wonderful. And about drinking water, I heard that if you drink, there was a research, if you drink a liter and a half a day, you like within 3 or 6 months, you biologically become, I think, I don't remember, like 12 years younger biologically or something crazy like that. Really
Really?
keeps you
Wow.
young. Yes, water is amazing.
It does.
Yes. Cheers. So, where can people find you?
Yeah, so if you're on Instagram or any of the social media platforms, it's at Zen, Zentea, Traders with an S. Zen Tea Traders is my handle. Google it or Instagram. I'm mostly active on Instagram. And you can check out my website. It's zenteatraders.com. Zentea traders with an S.com. And if you want to email me, I'm real easy. I'm Anthony at Zen Tea Traders. Any questions, anything you want to talk about? I love connecting with people from around the world. Anthony at zenteatraders.com.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate our conversation. It was so much fun. I had a blast.
Yeah, thanks. I never really know where these are going to go, right? And that's what I love about it. See organic,
Yeah.
just hop on a call and talk and see where it leads. And I really love talking to you. It was great.
Thank you. And thank you, listeners. Remember to slow down, get moving and active, drink water, never stop learning and growing, take risks, and have a stellar life. This is Orion. Till next time.